Welcoming a Pelosi payoff. McCarthy has outlined some issues. Take a look. It gives $21,000 for federal employees to stay home, $25,000 to bonuses for state government workers, $50 million to Planned Parenthood, $200 million to museums and library services, $600 million to the city of San Francisco. Where's Nancy Pelosi from? It also gives $1.5 billion to Amtrak, $12 billion in foreign aid, $15 billion for illegal immigrant-eligible health care, $111 billion to welfare without work requirements, $350 billion to bail out blue states. Joining us now to discuss, Democratic strategist Will Pierce and the executive director at USA Strong, Erin Elmore. Erin, what's your take on this?
Wow, $1.9 million in waste. You've talked about a lot of the highlights, but you know what another sad lowlight is? Less than 10% of this relief actually goes to combating COVID, was what the relief is actually needed for. Less than 1% for vaccines. You know, and I think the takeaway is that the Americans deserve meaningfully targeted legislation, not hyper-partisan, wasteful pork. But once again, the Democrats are putting special interest groups over the needs of the American people. Also, the one thing that we didn't touch on, $600 million for San Francisco, which erases the city's budget deficit. So these cities that are big and liberal and wasteful, spending money on things like free alcohol and marijuana for the homeless, think that they can now just do whatever they want because the federal government is going to bail them out. This is a very sad reality for people who work hard for the money, that pay their taxes, that get up every day, that go to work and are away from their families and away from their children. The American people honestly deserve so much better. And by the way, $800 million for foreign food aid, $100 million for the EPA, $20 million for language preservation. Enough is enough. This is sick, it's wasteful, and it's pork.
Yeah, and millions of dollars going for a bridge from New York to Canada. Will 91% of what is in this, they were calling it a COVID relief bill, but then they realized not so much COVID relief, so then they started calling it what, the American Rescue Plan, I think was the last I heard?
Reining it in, got it. I don't really think this is reining anything in, but the hypocrisy of it all is when Trump did a tax cut, it was great for the American people. Nancy Pelosi and her cohorts called it crumbs. Now they're giving people, what, $1,400, and they're calling it a cure to poverty. It's just the hypocrisy when someone on the left and someone on the right does something. And to be honest, the American people need to meet somewhere in the middle, because most of us truly are moderates that want to see America succeed. This partisanship has to stop. We also need to really start supporting the hardworking Americans who are fighting our wars and paying our taxes. Our country deserves better. And you have to realize, where is this money coming from? Our deficit is growing by the day. We aren't going to be able to pay this back. Our children aren't going to be able to pay this back. Our grandchildren aren't going to be able to pay this back. We're going to see inflation. We're going to see interest rates rising. Honestly, we need to stop with the COVID relief. The best COVID relief is going to be opening the economies in these liberal states that red states have done almost 6 months, 8 months, almost now 12 months ago. We really need to stop with the partisanship, start focusing on the economics and recovery of our nation.
Okay. Very, very good. Thank you very much. Will Pierce and Erin Elmore, thank you so much. Coming up, the latest on the fight.